This is part one of a presentation that I gave on Friday, August 19th, 2011. It was held at the Roasters Guild Retreat in Roanoke, West Virginia. The audience was comprised of roughly 200 people from all across the country. This is the Manzano Project, a research project that has been going on in El Salvador for over 5 years now. My name, Emilio Lopez Diaz. A special thanks goes out to the Specialty Coffee Association of America and the Roasters Guild Executive Council for making this experimentation and presentation possible and allowing this to be a course at this year's Roasters Guild Retreat. The four main purposes of this course were to provide the audience with a clear overview of what it takes to experiment at origin, also to get to know what different experimentations possibilities exist at origin, as well as to cut the results from the four-way process experiment carried out last harvest, and to have an open discussion on the current experiments and the future of experimentation. In this presentation, the following topics will be covered. First, the different possibilities of experimenting at origin. Second, to talk about the preparation needed to plan for experimenting. And we will examine the Manzano Project, looking specifically at the three aspects of the experiment: the categorization of the coffee, the multiple varieties of coffee used in the experiment, and the four methods of processing. Lastly, at the retreat, we were able to cup the coffees, and for this video, we will view the results of the cupping that took place at the retreat. Regarding the possibilities that exist with experimenting, what possibilities for experimentation exist at origin? Different elevations at the same plantation, different varietals, different harvest times, shade grown versus sun grown, different wet milling processes, different drying methods. But how do we go about continuing experimentation? What possibilities exist for roasters? The question is it that simple to experiment? Who should be responsible for carrying out the process, and who is to carry for the risk involved? Where to begin? The idea of experimenting with our coffee came from observations about the final cup quality. So much of the coffee industry is unpredictable. Through experimentation, however, we want to better predict the final cup quality. From this position, we were able to identify our main purpose in the experimentation. First, to predict the quality on the final cup based on the different variables of production. And secondly, in order to accomplish the first, we needed to identify each variable of production that influences the cup quality. Before experimentation can even begin, a lot of planning had to be done. Two key components of the experimentation process are planning ahead of time. Prepare to have control of your yields or results. Big experimentation requires big planning. It is also crucial to identify and standardize the variables of production that influence the cup quality. In this case, we proceeded to identify them. So what are the variables influencing the cup quality? In planning for experimentation and after more than 5 years of observations, we have concluded that the following variables are responsible for that cup quality: total rainwater during the rainy season, amount and percentages of fertilizer in soil, elevation, farm location, varietals, the categorization of the cherries, and the bricks percentage on the mucilage. Along the chain, also the process, drying times, resting at the warehouse or silos, as well as the roast profile that the roaster gives it, and lastly, the brewing method we give certain coffees. From there, we have divided this into four main categories of production: the plantation, or identity, or actually the terroir of the coffee, the milling of the coffee, the roasting, and the consumer end. For this presentation, the categorization, the varietal, and the process variable of production will be examined. Once the planning and identification of the variables has taken place, and you're able to have control of your yields, you must isolate one of the variables for experimenting in order to understand its specific effects on the quality of the coffee. In this case, for the four-way process experiment, the batch of cherries was taken from the same day, same elevation, same variety, everything staying the same. The variable of production then was the process: the natural process, the pulp natural, the machine washed, and the fully washed coffee. This is the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2.